Yesterday, when I stepped on the scale, I weighed in at 140.2 pounds. The lowest weight I've recorded since 9 months ago, almost breaking back into the 130s. And instead of fasting for 3 or 4 days to get the weight down, I've been performing alternate day fasts instead, fasting every other day, eating every other day, and dropping weight time after time after time after time after time after time again. And when I break my fast, when I refeed, when I eat, I do it in a low-calorie, high-volume fashion. That is, putting together meals that are lower in calories but high in volume to keep me more satiated. Or as I like to call it, getting the best bang for my buck calorie for calorie. All right, let's dig into some nerd stats here. If you see me looking this way, it's because I just want to make sure I cover everything. So, number 1, I've lost 17 pounds now in the last 36 days doing alternate day fasts. And the thing is, in the last 36 days, it wasn't just pure ADF every single time. There were 2 days where I got to eat whatever I wanted. I didn't track. I called it my 20% days, where I will go and have a shorter fast, have a much longer refeed. And I think when I ate those back-to-back days where I had cake and beer and just ate random food, I probably ate somewhere in the vicinity of 4,500 to 5,000 calories. But despite those 2 days, I still lost 17 pounds in 36 days. To me, the big achievement there is the fact that I'm doing it at a lower number fasted, right? Around 40-ish hours, 45 hours versus the 90 hours I was doing or the 65s that I was doing, but still able to eat back-to-back days, eat whatever I want, eat in excess. But it's because the other 80%, when I'm doing this 80-20, is where I am tracking calories and I am limiting myself in a different way. And like I said, my ADFs are averaging somewhere around 45 hours. And I've seen some comments where they're like, or people are saying, well, that's not a true ADF. A true ADF is somewhere between 36 hours and 42 hours. That's fine. I get it. It's closer to a 48-hour fast on average. The thing is, that number is starting to slide down as well as I'm doing shorter fasts more recently, but I'm still getting to eat every other day. That's kind of how I look at it. I'm alternating my fasting days with my eating days. Eating every other day, fasting every other day. My refeed times are around 2.5 hours, and my average refeeds, calorie-wise, 2,487 calories per refeed, with an average protein intake of 165 grams per refeed. Not much to really add into here. Even if I was eating 3,000 calories per refeed, it still puts me at a big deficit, because even though I'm eating 2,500 calories on average, the next day I have 0. 2,500, 0, 2,500, 0. In the future, if I was to do something like OMAD or eat 2 days back to back and then have a fasting day, then I would probably be a little more conscientious of how many calories I'm putting in, but I'm not there just yet, and I'm still losing weight at a pretty good pace, so no complaints. And as I talk about weight stability has been one of the biggest things that I have noticed doing ADF and limiting my calories. It has been 33 days in a row now that I have kept myself in the 140s. I have not seen 150 pounds, but that's also 33 days of weight stability where the weight is just dropping day after day after day, even after having those 2 back-to-back days of eating whatever I wanted. I think part of that is also because I didn't eat 6, 7, 8,000 calories. I didn't just go crazy and said, well, today's just my eating day. I'm just gonna eat whatever I want because I'm gonna go on a 90-hour fast. I've really found a different place where I can still enjoy, I can still eat more than I typically would. I'm just putting a little more mindfulness, a little more control than how I have done so in the past. With that being said, here's what I ate after completing my last 40-ish hour fast. 1 pound of steamed veggies. This is what you just throw in the microwave. Broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, nothing special, seasoned with salt and pepper. A lot of volume for 120 calories. Next up, I prepared a pound of mushrooms, a pound of zucchini, half a pound of cherry tomatoes, a pound of ground lean turkey with half a bulb of garlic, and an entire jar, 1.5 pounds of tomato/pasta sauce. I also added over 300 grams of of white rice into this. We're talking nearly 6 pounds of volume here. I ate about 85% of this, and it still only ended up being under 1,300 calories and over 80 grams of protein. And I know this is gonna sound wild, but I made brownies made with bananas, peanut butter, yogurt, protein powder, cocoa, and a few other baking ingredients. This was enough to fill a 9x9 baking dish. This was a lot more calorie dense, and I was only able to eat half of it to stay within my calories. It ended up being really tasty, cakey, rich, and indulgent. If I'm being honest, I was too impatient to wait for it to cool down so it would get denser, but I put the other half in the fridge for next time. And to end the night, ice cream from the Ninja Creami, a super simple mix of protein powder, milk, vanilla cheesecake pudding mix, and crushed up some cookies in the center. An entire pint of ice cream here, folks, for a total of 2,599 calories and 174 grams of protein. I finished all of this in under 2 hours. I'm curious, what do you think about this refeed? Do you feel like this is something that you would try doing? Do you look at this volume of food and you're like, well, I don't want to eat that many vegetables. I don't want to eat that much ground turkey. I ask this question because the one thing that I'm starting to realize as I am refeeding and experimenting and even learning to cook, which is something new for me, is when I eat more whole foods, when I find ways to pack on the volume, like eating a pound of vegetables, 2 pounds of vegetables, an entire jar of spaghetti sauce or pasta sauce. And I'm not saying that you have to do that, but I'm trying to show you that if you can find ways to add volume into the food that you're eating, especially if you're someone like me that has trouble when it comes to intaking food and packing on the calories, this might be a hack. This might be a way to optimize your calories. And I guess what it also means is it's trying to find foods that you enjoy, trying to find foods that you could eat that will fill you up, but it doesn't feel like you're dieting or eating clean in that type of way. And with that being said, that's where I'm saying take advantage of sauces, take advantage of seasonings. If you don't like eating vegetables, think about eating them while they're mixed in with something else. Or if they're oven roasted and you prefer that, or you prefer it on a grill, if you like specific vegetables and fruits that are your favorites, start with that. I'm telling you, you need to hack the system here. And in a way, this is kind of where it leads me into calorie tracking. Calorie tracking is not fun. I know it can be tedious, but here's the thing that I've noticed. Let's say I'm eating my Brussels sprouts. It's something that I almost always eat 95% of the time, or mushrooms. Whether I'm eating a pound of Brussels sprouts and a pound of mushrooms, if I were to say now I'm gonna eat 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts and 2 pounds of mushrooms, the difference in calories is almost negligible. I guess what I'm trying to say is when it comes to fruits and vegetables, these are things that you probably don't need to track. You could probably eat a pound of watermelon and it would barely be any calories. This is something that I've just noticed over time when I am recording how much calories are in cherry tomatoes that I eat, or mushrooms, like I said, or things like zucchini, very low in calories. But one of the things that I have to be very mindful about is when I have a bowl of rice. If I'm just having 300 grams of rice, I don't know, 300 might seem like a lot to people. That's a little over half of a pound, maybe 3/4 of a pound. 300 grams of rice is nothing to me. I could eat bowl after bowl after bowl of white rice. The problem is one bowl of white rice that's like 300 grams ends up being 350, 375 calories. It adds up quick, it adds up so quick. And of course, the way I see it is that's where tracking comes into play. Maybe you need to track the foods that you know you're going crazy over, because 2 bowls of rice, 700 calories, 3 bowls of rice, you're close to 1,000 calories at that point. Add some fatty meat to it, eat a slice of cheesecake or a slice of pie, and you're probably going over at that point. Now, the difference from Jerome back in the past when I would fast for 90 hours or even 65, 70 plus hours is it really didn't matter how many calories I ate because I was fasting for 3 days, 4 days on end. I could eat 6,000 calories, 7,000 calories, not have to track, and still continue to lose weight. But I had to fast for that long. If you're fasting for that long, maybe you don't have to track. Maybe that's something you don't have to worry about. All I'm saying is calorie tracking can be useful. You don't have to track every single thing, but maybe what it means is on the foods that you know are going to really add up, especially if you're not fasting for that long, you have to be more mindful about it. If you're someone like me that needs 5, 6, 7,000 calories to feel satiated, I really encourage you to give low calorie, high volume eating a shot. I'm not saying you need to do a 180 and change everything that you're doing, but if you can start offsetting some foods that are high calorie, less nutrient dense foods to help give you that fullness, that satiation that you might be looking for. My guess is that tomorrow, after I finish doing my 40-ish hour fast, I'm probably gonna be breaking into the 130s. Either way, I'll keep you posted. I'll see you in the next one. Stay imperfectly consistent and accountable.